Welcome to another episode of the Tina Parker Show. Today we're talking about hidden truths. And this isn't about pointing blame. This isn't about, this is just about sharing the truth, sharing truths that have been, hidden truths, and when institutions fail, victims and communities lose. I think there's, the more I dive into different things that are going on in the world or that has went on, I'm learning that I just see so many people suffer. And I believe, a faith believer, um, that we need to speak the truth. We need to bring awareness because if we cannot create a better world through people, institutions, through experience, then we're going to go down. It's a slippery slope. I mean, we have got to share the truth, okay? And we need to not just have a blind eye to what has happened because it's going to continue, okay? Unless we bring awareness to it and light, it will just continue. So I am a truth teller, a faith advocate, I'm a survivor. And today I'm going to dive into a difficult but necessary conversation about how institution institutional failures harm both the survivors of abuse and the communities that trust them. I'm going to explore how statute of limitations and secrecy keep old wounds hidden and how reform efforts led by advocates like former Salt Lake City Mayor Rocky Anderson, they're pushing for change. Okay, there's a current case that a mother is really pushing to try and get solved and bring awareness to this issue. Um, it's a touchy subject because it's regarding a case from a prophet, and Rocky Anderson knows about it, but it's like everything else has been pushed under the rug. And it's really unfortunate because communities and members, and this isn't just this case. I'm sure there's other cases all across the world and in different faiths that are being silenced and not there's no light coming to them. So today we're going to cover the Utah case of Terry Mitchell versus Judge Richard Roberts and the fight to revive old claims, why communities, including faith communities, are also victims when truth is suppressed, how to bring awareness, build prevention, and hold institutions accountable. And I'm going to explain why you might just be like, oh, I don't want to push all of this. I want you to know that you might just be a member or a customer of a company or whatever, okay? You might be one of those that are just, um, you're passive, you just want to turn your eye. But I want you to know that you're also involved. I mean, when we go through this, I'm going to explain how you've been deceived. Okay. And I just think we need to bring awareness to it so we can end this nonsense and bring truth, accountability, transparency to all of the things that we've seen. All right. How to bring awareness, build prevention, and hold institutions accountable. Practical steps for listeners. Those of you that are listening, I'm going to give you some steps of what you can do. We want to support survivors for sure, and demand transparency in protecting the vulnerable. I'm a protector of the vulnerable. Are you? Or do you just turn your eye? You don't want to get involved. This is not about blame. It's about healing, truth, and restoration. We want to restore what our kingdom creator wanted to see. Okay, he needs truth tellers. He wants to flip some tables. Okay, so there's some of us that are not afraid to come open with it. Okay, and so that's what I believe part of my purpose is. All right, so we're going to talk about more about this. Abuse doesn't just harm the individual. Okay, when someone has been a victim to something, okay, it damages trust, community cohesion, and institutional integrity. I don't know about you, but if you want integrity and truth with the government, with healthcare, with the media. That includes your faith too. Okay? And yourself. We have I believe we're doing a disservice when we learn something and we don't like use that knowledge for better. You know what I mean? It's a disservice to the world and to all those people that have overcome. Okay? Don't just gaslight them and pretend like it didn't happen. All right? Survivors often wait decades to bring claims. In Utah, the law before 2016 forced victims to file by age 22. Okay? Here's something to think about. Members of faith communities who trusted the trusters also became victims when the truth is hidden. I'm going to dive into that. Here's a case, okay, we can talk about. Rocky Anderson and Utah statute of limitations fight. Okay, this is going on right now. There was a case, so I'll just tell you, former mayor and attorney Rocky Anderson represented a plaintiff, Terry Mitchell, who alleged sexual abuse dating to 1981 against a federal judge. The broader angle, trying to change how long victims can sue. So Rocky Anderson right now is pushing for to cut out the statute of limitations. Okay, it was brought up again in 2018 and they squashed it, and so he keeps pushing. Okay, so they're working on it again. So here's an example. 2016, the Utah legislature passed a law including to revive old claims. This was 2016. But in 2020, the Utah Supreme Court ruled it could not apply retroactively in Mitchell's case. All right. Who remembers Terry Mitchell? I don't know. If you're not from Utah, you might not remember that case, but I remember it. All right. Legal reform may pass, but when courts interpret constitutionality strictly, justice can still be elusive. Okay. There's a leader in a particular faith here. I'll just say in the LDS Church, okay? Russell M. Nielsen. Apparently, or, you know, there was an accusation that his daughter was part of a sexual abuse ring, okay? What happened in that is there was a settlement that was paid, but it was never brought to the attention. Like they could not, the mom has been trying to like bring this back up, but they're calling in the statute of limitations. Rocky Anderson knows about this case. You can't find it anywhere. It's like they've hidden the documents. Okay. Rocky Anderson knows about it, and that's why he's the one pushing to pass this law. Okay. So if you wanted some reference, that's kind of what it came from, you know. So institutional settlements and hidden accountability. Many organizations settle cases quietly. They use NDAs. So they pay for these individuals, you know, here, we're going to pay you off, and then you need to be quiet. Okay, they don't fully disclose how funds are used or how many cases exist. Here's an example. While the Mitchell case is public, many other older claims may never surface due to deadlines, secrecy, or financial incentive logic. So here's something to think about. The cost of hidden settlements isn't just money. It is lost trust, increased vulnerability, and future victims. You could now, I want you to imagine, what if it's your child? This is why I don't agree with turning a blind eye. You know, I have compassion, I have empathy for these families that have experienced these things, or that were pushed to accept the money and sign an NDA. You know, we need to work on getting better, basically. And how do we get better? We acknowledge what has happened. Let's talk about the money flows and incentives. Where does funding come from? Okay. So when I was thinking about this kind of like fired me up a little bit because large organizations, including religious ones, have big financial flows. For example, many churches have tithing, they have donations and they have investments. So I started thinking, what happens, or where does the church or any other organization, where does this money come from that they're settling these abuse cases? Where's the money coming from? The members. Tithing. Think about that. What if your tithing was used to pay off someone that was a victim of abuse, while they hid the story? They had to sign an NDA. They hid the story so no public could go out there. There would be no bad publicity. They don't want to ruin their reputation. They want to protect people in their organization. But that one fired me up a little bit. I'll be honest. I just thought to myself, faith communities collecting tithing and then using them to cover settlements, while there's no provable specific in every case. Now, we have proof that they've made settlements. Okay? The issue of funding accountability is real. So just reflect on that. True reform isn't just legal, it's financial. We must ask, where is the money going? Who benefits in secrets stay hidden? If this should fire people up, like if you are, listen, I believe, I have a strong faith. I'm a spiritual person. I haven't taken my name off of, the list of members, but I saw things that I didn't agree with. And then when you learn even more things and you were also a survivor of this same kind of situation, it's concerning to know that our tithing money could have been was used, because where do the donations come from? The people. And then if they're paying off these settlement cases and then keeping everything hush hush and there's no accountability within the organization, that's a problem. If y'all don't see that, I don't get it. I'm lost. Okay, help me understand. Put it in the comments. Like, am I missing something? All right, awareness, prevention, and what we can do. Reform can happen. Awareness changes culture. That's the biggest thing. That's why I'm talking about it. The only way to change things and get better and to hold leaders and in every area, politics, the financial industry, faith, media, in order to hold people accountable, we have to bring awareness to what's going on. Okay, we have to speak in truth. Okay, silence protects harm. We all have a part. So here's the action steps. Educate, share credible information, support survivor-centered groups, advocate, demand transparency in institutions, faith-based, corporate, government. When you're a part of a community, a church, a board, an organization, ask how they handle allegations, how they educate, what happens when abuse is reported. That's important, you think? Legislation like HB 279 in Utah, attempted change, the public pressure exists. So reflect on this. Restoration starts when victims are heard, institutions reveal, and community engages, not just reacts. Okay, that means using your voice. That's part of my Women of Action. Okay, amplify your voice. We all have stories. We all have our truth. We all have experience that make us and mold us into who we are as an individual, right? And sometimes fear, all these different things can hold us back from amplifying and using our voice and being real and authentic. And the only way that we can make this world a better place is by using our voice and creating awareness and demanding truth. Okay? As a faith leader, you might speak from this lens, okay? The goal isn't just to expose injustice, it's to bring healing. When we can talk about things, that's the thing is like, I've been through a lot. Like, there's been a lot of chaos in my life. There's been a lot of trauma. There's been all the things, okay? But I didn't let that hold me back, okay? I went on to be a badass in you know, financial services, all right? But that, you know, I didn't talk about it. I didn't think of it like I was a victim. Like, I didn't think like that way. I was just, maybe I'm different. I don't know. But I didn't hold me back. I went on and just, maybe I was proving people wrong. That because I had a low GPA, because I was told I was stupid, because I was a teen mom and was a dropout, because my GPA was like 1.5 to 1.7, like it was horrible. Okay. Because of all these things, I was labeled dumb, all the things. Okay. I wouldn't amount to anything. Well, guess what? I was on a mission. And when I started winning, I just kept using that as fuel. Like, you can't hold me back. Like, I'm going to squash every label, every belief that you put on people. Okay. And I went out and did better than my peers with college degrees. So, why am I telling you that? Because I didn't let any of that crap hold me back. Okay. I went on to do very well. And I just want you to know that if you've been through things, that you can get through it too. But I believe in, I danced a lot as a kid. So maybe that's how I got all that energy out of my body. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't hold it in. I don't go see therapists. I didn't do any of that. Like, I just had fun in life. And I moved and I worked towards, I was always pushing to make my clients' lives better, always pushing to do the right thing, always, you know, living with a strong sense of empathy and compassion for people. That's just who I am. Sometimes I'm strong in my delivery, but you know, that's just part of my upbringing too, you know? So this is why I share this information, because I'm passionate about it, because I know that a lot of people are held back because of old things that have happened and different things. But in order for us to move on and do wonderful things and be great leaders for our family and community, we have to bring awareness to what's real. Own, if we've been the accuser or whatever, you know, if we've had issues, we need to own our shit. You know, that's part of Women of Action. Own our shit, own where we screw up. If you're married and you were a bad spouse, own your shit. You can get better, you know. I'm not saying, you know, hold yourself back or um you know, you should be condemned for. No, I think that I believe in second chances. I believe in, unless you've harmed a kid, like, I have a hard time with that, you know. Don't touch kids. I mean, they deserve little spankings. I had one spanking. But I just believe in creating and building strong children, okay? The next group of leaders. I kind of went on a tangent, so I digress. Um, all right, so let's move forward, okay? The church that once gave safety must now be safe. Encourage communities to embody the kingdom values, truth, justice, and mercy. I believe that Yahweh wants that. He wants us to speak truth. He wants us to bring awareness to all the corruption that and things that have been on in the world. We're like the voices for those that have been victims. You know, he wants to see the world become a better place. Um, I think a lot of people have lost faith. I still believe in something bigger than myself. I'm a believer. There's no way. Like, there's too many things that are just so amazing, you know. So I just, that's why it matters to me. You know, I've been there. Um, I've been told that, you know, I was blown, you know, when I did talk about it, I was told that I was blowing things out of proportion and just kind of gaslit in a way. And we need to allow people to own their truth. If we were doing the harm, we need to own our truth and get better. We need to hold institutions and leaders accountable and create transparency. All of this matters. All of it matters. And if we don't create change, then all of this is for nothing. We've already seen that we need it. We need to help people reform action, faith, and transformation. Okay. Anyway, if you have any questions about my story, I'm very open about it. You know, if you need any help, advocacy, anything like that, please, you know, don't hesitate to message me and, you know, connect with me. I'm here for you, and I'm here to help. I'm here to offer truth. I'm here to help people heal. All the things. All right? Anyway, I hope you guys have an incredible day. Bye.